What's up everyone? In today's video I'm going to show you how I put together my own saddle hunting platform. Alright guys, so before we get started I just want to say that this is not meant to be a how-to video. Just like with my climbing stick video and my one stick video, this is just showing you the process I went through to build it. Do not attempt anything you see in this video at home. If you do, you're doing so at your own risk. If you're interested in seeing how I put together the climbing sticks to go with this platform, you can either click above or wait to the end of the video and I'll leave links there.
Alright, so the material I'm starting off with is a steel mailbox platform, grade 8 bolts, 1/2 inch steel squared tubing, and a 1/4 inch thick piece of flat steel. I cut 2 notches in the back of the steel mailbox plate. I then flatten them, and you'll see why I do that in a minute. Then I cut the 1/2 inch square tubing to create supports for the bottom. Once I have the supports done, I use the 4 inch flat stock and I cut out 2 triangle pieces. Now I'm just laying everything out where it needs to go. I cut notches into the triangle pieces. That's what's going to grip the tree. Now I'm working on the top cleat, and I cut 3 pieces of 1/4 inch thick flat steel bar, and I cut 2 3-inch pieces and 1 1-inch piece. And now I'm welding them together. This is what it looks like when it's all welded up. I then take a piece of 1-inch steel square tubing and a piece of 1.25 inch by 1/8 inch thick steel angle iron. I cut the square tubing down to 1 foot, and then I cut 2 1-inch pieces of the angle iron to create brackets. Obviously, I need to clean up the welds. I also welded dimples to the top of the platform to give it more traction. For the top piece, I used a piece of angle aluminum. I did 3D print a piece for the top, however, it broke, so I replaced it with the aluminum. Now I'm putting together a version of the Versa button that I also 3D printed. Once I have all the pieces built, I add water to a container, and then I start to add spray paint so that I can hydro dip each piece. At this point, I reassembled the whole thing, and it's ready to use. I use lock washers and grade 8 bolts for everything. This is the piece that I 3D printed, but again, it wasn't strong enough, so I replaced it with the aluminum angle iron.
Alright guys, so let's real quick just kind of go over everything. You know, I like this stand so much that I actually made two. I made one for my single stick, and then I made one for my climbing sticks, which is just a little bit wider. You can see I added on this this square tubing on the end of it. So I'm actually going to add two more pieces of square tubing. This one isn't quite finished yet. I'm going to add two more pieces of square tubing down along the side. On this one, it doesn't have it because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't need it. Alright, so as you can see, I have 1/2-inch square steel tubing, just to kind of stiffen it up a little bit more. The brackets themselves are made out of steel angle iron. I have nylon washers, and I'm using a piece of 1-inch steel tubing for the standoff itself. Everything is grade 8 bolts with lock washers as well. For the attachment method, I'm using it's basically a 3D printed version of a Versa button. The top piece is a piece of steel angle iron that I basically just cut teeth in. I just basically tack welded all over the top of this just to kind of give it more traction. And then obviously I camo dipped the whole thing. And so for this one, I do have this piece that I 3D printed into the center here, but the only reason this piece is here is because of this right here, so that I can clip it onto the back of my saddle. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this in or if I'm just going to run it how it is now, because I kind of like being able to stick my toe into this opening and using it to push off and on. This one does not have an adjustment. And on both of these, I actually have a piece of flat bar that I just welded to the steel pipe where it makes contact on the bottom.
Okay, so now I'm getting ready to test the stand out for the first time, and I attach my tether before I step onto it. Now I'm stepping on slowly just to make sure that it's going to hold my weight, which it does. You'll actually see in a minute here, I'll actually start jumping up and down on it. And it holds my weight just fine. So the stand is rock solid. I mean, once I put this thing on the tree, I could put side pressure on it, and I can jump up and down on it, and it's not going anywhere. I can also use my foot to readjust it, as you can see me doing here. It's just solid. I'm really happy with the way that this stand turned out. As you see here, I'm putting side pressure on it, and it's not going anywhere.
Alright guys, so if you're Alright guys, so if you're interested in seeing how I put together a set of climbing sticks to go with this, or how I put together my one stick, go ahead and click any one of these videos.